When I'm looking at this does not look like an adult writing anything. This is just insane to say that this is the same person writing this.
I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together.
Except she hadn't. And the tape proved it. Charlie Kirk's parents watched all of it. The letter, the Instagram posts, the grief performances, the CEO takeover, and then they started talking. But here's what nobody is connecting. She wrote it herself. Let's start with the letter, because that's where everything unraveled in public, right out in the open, and most people still haven't fully processed what they were actually looking at. On Valentine's Day, Erika Kirk took to Instagram and posted what she called the last love letter Charlie ever wrote her. Handwritten, personal, intimate. The caption reminded followers to honor the Sabbath with their loved ones. She framed it beautifully and framed herself beautifully as the grieving wife, still clutching the words her husband left behind. The problem was that almost immediately, people who actually knew Charlie Kirk's handwriting looked at that letter and froze.
When I'm looking at this does not look like an adult writing anything.
Now, messy handwriting alone doesn't prove anything. People write differently under different circumstances. But here's where it becomes impossible to ignore. When you pull up verified samples of Charlie Kirk's actual handwriting, things he signed publicly, notes he wrote that are on record, and put them side by side with that Valentine's letter, the comparison is damning. His verified writing is legible and clear. Every letter has definition. The spacing is deliberate. Even in casual writing, you can make out every single character without guessing. The Valentine's letter, however, tells a different story entirely. Lowercase letters appear nearly the same height as uppercase ones. Words are crammed together and then stretched apart with no consistency. Grammatical errors are scattered throughout. And the signature at the bottom, with a loop and a heart, doesn't even stylistically match the rest of the text written above it, according to analysts.
This is just insane to say that this is the same person writing this.
And then there's what the letter actually says. Read the words carefully. Charlie supposedly calls Erika an amazing and talented mother. He writes, and this is a direct quote, "I love you so much. I can't wait to see what adventures lie ahead of us. I adore you beyond words. Thank you for being such an amazing wife to me." Every single compliment in that letter is directed at Erika, about Erika, and for Erika. It reads less like a love letter and more like a public relations document disguised as one. And then Erika adds a caption pushing the Sabbath narrative, a story she has been recycling repeatedly in interviews. The idea that Charlie would come home Friday nights, drop his phone in the junk drawer, and say, "Shabbat Shalom."
Take his phone Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and
he would come in, open the junk drawer. Everyone has a junk drawer. Open the junk drawer, said Shabbat Shalom, put it in there, turn the phone off, slam the door.
She tells this story constantly, over and over again, as if she has rehearsed it, as if she needs you to believe it. But Charlie's family is telling a completely different story about what that marriage actually looked like behind closed doors. This is where Charlie's parents enter the picture, and where the entire narrative Erika has been carefully constructing starts to collapse. Charlie's sister Mary has already gone on record saying Erika has been lying. Specifically, that the Valentine's letter Erika posted was not written by Charlie. His own sister is saying this publicly, and sources close to Mary are going even further, revealing details about the state of that marriage that Erika has never once acknowledged. According to insiders close to Charlie's family, Charlie had confided in his sisters, not just Mary, about his plans to divorce Erika. This wasn't some passing frustration or a rough patch. This was a decision he had been moving toward. He had reportedly already stopped wearing his wedding ring. He was sleeping in a separate room. And according to these same sources, Charlie and Erika had already sold their Arizona home and had begun living separately before he was assassinated. Let that land for a second. The man whose wife is now posting love letters in his name, calling herself his grieving life partner, and building a public identity around their love story, that man had allegedly already decided the marriage was over, and Charlie's family saw it. They watched it happen. Sources say Charlie's parents and sisters grew increasingly distant from Erika, not because of a personality clash, but because of what they were witnessing inside that marriage. According to those close to Mary, Charlie had started feeling like Erika had completely transformed into someone he didn't recognize. that the woman he married and the woman she became were two entirely different people. His family kept their distance. They stayed quiet the way families do when they're watching something disturbing unfold and hoping it resolves itself. But then Charlie was assassinated, and instead of the family being consulted, included, or respected, Erika started making unilateral decisions, and fast ones, decisions that would prove to be deeply controversial. And there's one more detail about the marriage that nobody's talking about loudly enough. During a public interview caught on camera, Charlie asked Erika how long they had been married, a simple question, and she froze. She couldn't remember, and her explanation was that there were too many dates to keep track of in a marriage she now describes as the great love story of her life. Now, here's where the story stops being about a troubled marriage and starts being about something far more calculated. Because while Erika was publicly performing the role of devoted wife, sources inside Turning Point USA were noticing something very different happening behind the scenes. According to multiple insiders, Erika had already begun assuming Charlie's role as CEO before he died. She was issuing orders, making executive decisions, and replacing staff with people nobody recognized. She was speaking on behalf of the organization in ways that made longtime members deeply uncomfortable. And when Charlie would try to step in, she would talk over him and dismiss him, as if his authority inside his own organization had already been quietly transferred to her. And then there's the life insurance policy, and this is where everything gets genuinely alarming. Reports surfaced revealing that a massive life insurance policy had been taken out on Charlie Kirk in 2023. The premiums were $350,000 per year. The projected payout to the beneficiary, believed to be Erika, was somewhere between $20 and $50 million. An auditor named Brian Ferret-Schren went through Turning Point's public tax documents and discovered that an LLC called GGLF was responsible for paying those premiums. Turning Point itself had sent $350,000 to that same LLC in mid-2024. This was structured as a split-dollar life insurance policy, meaning Turning Point gets reimbursed for the premiums upon Charlie's death, and whatever remains goes to the named beneficiary. The name of that beneficiary was kept private and was never publicly disclosed. But the obvious logical assumption points to Erika. Now, here's the part that stops the room cold. That LLC, the one paying the premiums on Charlie's life, was dissolved on September 7, 2025. Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10, 2025, 3 days later. The company that financially held the structure of Charlie's life insurance policy was quietly shut down 3 days before he was shot and killed. Did Charlie know this policy existed? Did he authorize it? Or was this done without his knowledge by someone who already knew what was coming? Those are not rhetorical questions. Those are the questions Charlie's family deserves answers to, and so does the public. And then there's what happened to Charlie's body. Because if you thought the letter and the insurance policy were disturbing, this part is where the story becomes something else entirely. Erika Kirk sat down for a CBS town hall interview in December and made a very specific claim. She said she had personally read Charlie's autopsy report, that she had reviewed the findings, that there was nothing suspicious, and that the case was clear. She went as far as saying that everyone always wants to think there is more to the story, but sometimes there is not, and that she had seen the autopsy report herself, had seen the case pulled together, and had been in constant contact with their lawyers and the prosecuting team. Except a leaked dispatch audio from September 10th tells a completely different story. In that audio, it was confirmed that Charlie never went in for an autopsy at all. The death certificate was simply signed by the doctor at the hospital, and a request was made to add a note to the case documenting that there was no autopsy. That was it. For a high-profile political assassination, an event that shook the entire country, the official forensic documentation amounts to nothing more than a doctor's signature on a form. Erika said she read the autopsy report. The dispatch audio says there was no autopsy. One of those things is a lie. Sources also allege that Erika had Charlie cremated almost immediately, without consulting his parents, without giving his family any time to process what had happened, let alone weigh in on a decision that was permanent and irreversible. And according to people close to the Kirk family, Charlie himself was opposed to cremation. His body was transported from Utah to Arizona in less than 24 hours on Air Force Two, with J.D. Vance and his wife accompanying Erika on the flight. A level of logistical coordination that would have required significant advance planning. The speed of it all, a speed that would have made a proper autopsy virtually impossible, now looks very different in light of everything else we know. No bullet was ever recovered from the scene. The crime scene was cleared almost immediately. Forensic experts examining footage of the shooting have pointed out that the visible impact on Charlie's neck is inconsistent with a .30-06 caliber round fired from 200 yards, a shot that experts say would have produced catastrophic and unmistakable damage. There was absolutely no blood on Charlie. Not only did the bullet not go through, and yet we are told it is all settled. Case closed. Trust the narrative. So let's pull back and look at this entire picture, not as individual pieces, but as a whole. Charlie Kirk's own family, his parents, and his sister Mary are not buying the story Erika is selling. They watched a marriage deteriorate behind closed doors. They watched Charlie grow distant from a wife who was allegedly already acting as though she ran the organization he built. They watched him stop wearing his ring, move out of the shared bedroom, and begin making plans to leave. And then he was killed. In the aftermath, Erika did not grieve quietly. She stepped into the CEO seat. She posted a love letter that his own sister says he didn't write. She went on national television and claimed to have read an autopsy report that dispatch audio suggests never happened. She made the call to cremate him, permanently erasing whatever forensic evidence might have remained in his body, and she did it without his family's input. A life insurance policy worth potentially $50 million was structured through an LLC that dissolved 3 days before his death. Charlie Kirk's parents raised a son. They watched him build something from nothing. They watched him fall in love, or at least they watched what they were told was love. And now they are watching a woman use his death as a platform, post letters in his name that his family says he didn't write, and control every single piece of the narrative about who he was, what their marriage meant, and how he should be remembered. His family isn't staying silent anymore, and neither should you.